All righty, excellent. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to join myself and Rose for the third installment of the Key Lime Emerging Tech Masterclass series. We're all super excited to have you here today. So we are from Key Lime Interactive. We are a user experience research and design agency, and we have a sweet spot for emerging tech. We really work to deliver strategic insights and advice to our clients to really help them move the needle in terms of their customer experience differentiation. And we're a team made up of researchers, strategists, designers, and thought leaders. And Key Lime Interactive, we've been trusted by 100 plus of our clients since 2009 of the world's most admired companies, and we currently work with a lot of Fortune 500 companies, and our clients range from giant tech giants to medical supply companies. And for today's Voice Tech Talk, we'll be talking about how you can make people fall in love with your voice technology that you build and design. You have two voice tech UX experts with you today. Myself, my name is Samantha Silver, and my super awesome, fantastic Dutch colleague, Rose Vorand, on the line. Both myself and Rose lead the voice tech UX research efforts here at Key Lime alongside our team of other emerging tech researchers. And voice technology is something that we're both super passionate about, and we truly could go on for hours talking about where voice is at now, where it's been, and where it's headed. And if you're interested in hearing more about that, you can check out some of our work on voice on our website. And you can also check out there how we help brands get the most out of their voice innovations and how we do this globally. And of course, if you have a specific question or comment at any point during the masterclass today, please go ahead and feel free to share that in the chat. And before I hand it over to Rose for the main event, we want to know what brings you here today. So we will be having a poll. All right. If you folks wouldn't mind filling out what brings you here to our masterclass today. Awesome. And if you're selecting something else, if you wouldn't mind filling that out in the chat so we can get a better idea. Excellent. Thank you all. So our poll results, looks like some folks are here to learn more about voice tech, and they'll also like to see what's new in voice tech, which awesome. And some other folks are also here because they're here to check out more what we're all about at Key Lime Interactive. So thank you so much for answering that, and I will pass it back over to Rose.
So yeah, today we'll talk about voice tech and how to make people fall in love with voice technology. First, we'll talk a little bit about the benefits of voice. We'll talk about how voice can help your business, and afterwards we'll give you 5 tips for how to build successful voice products. You can also download the handouts from the control panel and go to webinar, and we'll also share the recording with you afterwards. So you might already be very familiar with voice tech products. Think about dictation or voice controlled lights at home, or you might use a voice kitchen timer. So for myself, I'm really excited about voice because we tend to spend so much time on screens, especially now. When I think about myself, I go from the phone to the computer, to the phone, to the computer, to the TV. And I think there's a potential here that for voice to help remove some of those screens and improve some of these interactions and make it more human. So although voice provides some of these opportunities, I think there's also still a lot that can be improved because current voice experiences are still far from perfect. For example, coming from the Netherlands, I have a pretty strong accent, and sometimes Alexa doesn't understand what I say, and that's gets frustrating. Also, I remember that when my husband got an Alexa a couple of years ago, at first it made me feel pretty uncomfortable because I felt that someone was now listening to us all the time. So I think there's a lot of potential, but there's also a long way to go to make it really successful. Today, the main use cases for voice are in service and in sales. You can think of frequently asked questions or short transactional dialogues like turning the lights off and on. And I think in the future, there is also potential to go more towards in-depth conversations, but going beyond the transactional requires some proactive conversations based on users' emotions and context. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits of voice. So for consumers, I think voice increases accessibility for people that need accessibility accommodations, for example, people with low visual abilities or with low mobility that cannot use their hands to touch a screen. Voice is also intuitive, it's fast, it allows for multitasking, and it removes friction because it allows the user to speak freely. For brands, one of the benefits is that voice is an extra channel to build a relationship with your customers. Voice is not a new interface that's going to replace all the others, but it's another interface that will coexist with the others, and they will each play to each other's strengths. Voice is also intuitive. It allows for transferring ideas and emotions. And this is especially important right now during COVID because a lot of people are separated from their loved ones and their colleagues, and there's an increased need for connection. Other benefits for brands are that it can help streamline operations and also increase brand accessibility because you can reach a more diverse audience. So with the current state of the world, COVID is really influencing the way we live, work, and socialize. And the pandemic has accelerated some of the technological developments and adoption of, for example, voice as well. Because in a world that's suddenly afraid of touch, voice is now getting more attractive. And with people working from home and staying at home, there's an increased demand for in-home entertainment. Also, voice can help improve productivity during business meetings by taking notes and transcribing. And also in healthcare, voice has joined the battle against COVID as it can help screen people and quickly gather information about people's travel history and physical condition. So let's talk a little bit about how voice can help your business. I want to highlight two use cases here in this section. So the first is that voice can help you drive engagement on already existing apps and platforms. So brands like Spotify and Roku, they're enhancing utility and user engagement of their platforms by allowing users to interact through voice as well. And it can help reduce some of the frustrations that people have with your platform. For example, Roku, for those of you who are familiar with the Roku platform, I have the remote here as well. And if you know so if you want to search on Roku for content, you have to go to the search bar and add your search query like letter by letter, and you have to scroll through an alphabet on the screen, selecting it, and it takes quite a long time. Now, with voice, you can just press the button and you can directly say what you're looking for, and it's just so much faster. And yeah, I think it's a real game changer. Another way that voice can help your business is by leveraging some of the emotional aspect of voice and build the relationship by creating a personalized experience. As an example, here we have Netflix. So some of you may be familiar with Netflix series Stranger Things. And it's a series about a couple of teenagers that go on adventures. And Netflix has created this voice experience where you can actually talk to one of the main characters from the series, Dustin, that you see here on the screen. And yeah, Dustin's taking you on a quest, along on his quest, and asking you for help. So let's listen to this. Hey Google, talk to Dustin from Stranger Things.
Got it. Here's Dustin from Stranger Things.
Hello? This is Dustin. I found something. I don't know what it is, but I could really use your help. Is anybody there?
Hey, yeah, it's Sam and Rose here.
Okay. You gotta see this thing. I'm not sure what it is, but I think that I discovered a new species. Wait, I just realized I don't even know who you are. How do I know if I can trust you? Okay. Quiz. What's 11's favorite food?
Waffles.
Ding, ding, ding. That's right. I guess you're good for now. I'm letting you off easy this time. So, I haven't told my friends yet, but I found something in the trash. It's like some kind of pollywog. I need a place to put this guy until I can bring him to school tomorrow to show the other guys. What do you think? Should I keep it in the bathroom, in my pillowcase, or in the turtle terrarium?
Yeah, so you get the idea. Here Dustin's taking you along on his journey and he's asking you how he should like solve some of his problems that he's encountering. And yeah, you really feel like you're part of this area and it's bringing the content to life and creates that stronger connection. Of course, there are also a lot of examples of voice experiences gone bad. Yeah, I already mentioned a couple of my personal experiences in the beginning, and here we see an example of a voice customer service. And yeah, we've probably all been there. You're on the phone with a voice customer service experience, and it just isn't working. You want to say something, it doesn't understand what you're trying to do, and all you want to do is talk to a real person. Yeah, do you have any of those frustrations, Sam?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the phone one is one that we can all relate to, where you're just pushing a million buttons and trying to get through. And we'd actually love to hear from you all if there's other frustrations that you've had in regards to voice tech recently that you wanted to share in the chat. I know for one, I've also been trying to get my voice automated remote set up, and that user process is not a seamless one at all. And it's been very frustrating to get set up. Yeah, so one, Siri never listens to me when I want her to. She tries to listen to me when I'm not talking to her, and I definitely relate to that one as well. Siri never pops up when you need her, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, so feel free to share any of your experiences in the chat. Maybe have similar experiences, maybe different ones. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah,
So
also Siri, another Siri one, absolutely. Alexa never listens when I want. Yeah, absolutely. So having difficulty getting your voice devices to listen when you want, or just popping on magically, it's seeming on their own. So yeah, it seems like we're having a lot of the similar frustrations in regards to voice tech.
all right, yeah. So here at Keyline, we're here to help you and your team build even better voice products and experiences. And in the rest of this presentation, we'll share some of our tips on how to create successful voice products. So our first tip is to consider how you might design voice experiences across different surfaces. Yeah, not every format works well on voice. For example, long lists or complicated menu structures with multiple layers or messages with a lot of detail. So first thing you want to consider is to understand how you might use these different services and understand how you can improve some of the already existing touch points that your customers have with your brand. So voice only, for example, via smart speaker, it focuses really on quality of the audio content. Voice first or voice forward is when voice is a primary way of interaction, but also visual elements can be added for support. So you can see that, for example, on smart speakers with a screen. And multimodal is when different modalities, different ways of interaction can be used to interact with a platform or an app, and the user can just choose what works best for them in that situation.
Yeah, that all sounds super cool, Rose. But how are folks supposed to know like which touch points are complementary to building their brand experience? Or maybe when is it too many touch points for them to incorporate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of it depends on your user and its context and the devices that they're using. Which brings me to our next point, which is understand the context of the users. So understanding how, when, and where your product will be used helps you identify constraints and determine the solution. Do you have any thoughts on that, Sam?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking, folks might not even map this for their current brand experience. So how should they know how to map this for voice?
Yeah, so we can help you with that. At Keelam, we're user research experts, and some of the research methods that we use to understand the context of users, of our clients, are contextual interviews or diary studies, and they can give you insight into the how, where, and when of when products will be used. Our next tip is to understand some of the barriers that people have with using voice tech and how to overcome them. So yeah, as I already mentioned in the beginning, there are some people who have privacy concerns with voice tech. So one way to overcome that is to be really transparent about what data is collected. And also, you can consider give users some control over their privacy settings so that they can choose what data is being used for what purposes. Maybe they can also opt out for some things that will give them a sense of control and transparency, which creates a sense of trust. Another way to overcome these privacy concerns is by creating a consistent brand experience across different channels that people can recognize. So an example of this is, for example, when I think of a commercial that I hear a lot on TV lately, is a farmers insurance commercial. So the one of the voice of the actor, J.K. Sims, you really recognize it, and it belongs to the brand. So same thing for the tune. It's also very something you recognize. So using these different elements across channels, will allow people to recognize your brands and creates a sense of trust as well. Another barrier that people have for using voice tech is the lack of skill. So for many people, it's a pretty new way of interacting with technology, and some people don't know how to what they can actually do and how they can use it. So goal here is to overcome that by creating an onboarding campaign and educating your users on what are some of the different things that they can do with voice. So you can do that either through the voice channel, but you can also think of doing that through email or through an app that people maybe use simultaneously. Another barrier that for people to use voice tech is the lack of discoverability, because you can see your smart speaker, but you don't see Dustin from Stranger Things, or you don't see your kitchen timer, right? So how do people get triggered to start using any of those skills? I think key here is to identify a use case that provides value and really gives the user something that they cannot achieve in another way, that they cannot accomplish by swiping or typing, and really makes it a lot faster. So creating a good use case, will really give the user something to come back to. And I think without a good use case, voice could also easily become sort of a gimmick, something that you try once or twice, and then you just forget about it because it doesn't really solve any problems for you.
Definitely, definitely. And uh, what is an example of something that could probably break somebody's CX in real life? And do these things actually happen?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think not thinking about privacy and how data is will be used will definitely, yeah, will definitely break the CX and has also left some hesitation and trust issues in the past.
Mhm, mhm.
So our fourth tip is to, oh, this is also a workbook. I want to quickly highlight it because it can help you also to identify good use case. Our fourth tip is to use a human-centered approach and yeah, consider some of the take a user-centered approach and consider the human aspects of voice interactions, such as emotion, empathy, connection, and relatability. So you can think, for example, about changing the tone of the voice assistant based on the topic. For example, if you're an insurance company with a voice assistant that people can use to file a claim, uh, you want to change the tone of the topic when people are talking about something that's missing or lost or got stolen. Yeah, you want to respond appropriately. Another way to yeah, another thing you can consider here is to test with a diverse population to be more inclusive. So testing with a diverse population includes people with different accents, also people with different vocabularies, and that really makes for a more inclusive experience that resonates with more people. Do you have any thoughts about this, Sam?
Yeah, yeah. I was just thinking about how folks might be worried that, people don't really want to be able to tell if they're not talking to a bot. So why might some of this stuff be relevant for people to be considering?
I think it's we're not trying to um, create an experiences that makes people feel like they're talking to a human, but we want to create interaction that is more natural for people to use when they speak. Our last tip is to, oh, this is also a book that talks a little bit about emotional intelligent design. And our last tip that I want to highlight is get feedback early and often. I think knowing your audience is critical to creating a compelling use case and compelling experience on voice. And yeah, evaluating your content with users will also make sure that you're actually providing value to them.
Absolutely. I'm sure that some of the folks today in our masterclass have probably heard about voice tech specific research, like testing different conversational UIs or different utterance testings. But what do you think are some other research methods that brands should be aware of and take advantage of when trying to design voice features?
Yeah, so one thing we also use is customer journey mapping. We use that for user research in general, but it also is really useful for with when you're creating a voice strategy. It helps you to map out all the touch points that your customers have with your brand and understand which touch points cause any yeah, could be improved, which are potential pain points. And this helps you to understand if voice could potentially also enhance or improve any of those touch points. All right. So yeah, these were our 5 tips. So to summarize, first tip is to consider all the services. Second tip is to map the context, understand people's concerns with voice and how to improve, how to address those concerns. Take a human-centered approach and get feedback early and often.
Excellent. Thank you, Rose. That was super, super insightful and interesting. So, thank you all for joining us. Rose has presented these 5 tips to you, but your voice UX doesn't have to stop here. If you're either looking to create or you are creating or have already created a voice driven product experience, Our team of emerging tech UX researchers are here ready to support you in taking a more human-centric approach to your design. So for those of you who are just starting to explore voice tech in your brand, consider using voice tech design sprints to accelerate your concept development. For those of you that are looking to build a strong understanding of your voice customer base, think about how you can arm your team with core voice UX insights to inform your product decisions. And for those of you who have been in the voice tech space product for a while, start making room for an ongoing research at scale so that you can really start to use UX optimization to improve your bottom line. And if none of this helped or answered your questions, we'll be able to have a Q&A right now with Rose and myself and ask her any questions that you may have about voice tech or designing voice experience. If you have any questions for us, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. Okay. So it looks like we have a few questions coming in now. So the first question is, what industries do you want to see voice tech expanding into? And where do you see missed opportunities?
Yeah, great question. I think, yeah, we'd be really helpful in healthcare, for example. I think making some of the administrative processes that healthcare providers have to do. They have to enter a lot of information into systems to make sure that they comply with certain standards. I think these sort of administrative processes like data entry can really could really be something where voice could help and make it easier.
Absolutely. And we have another question here that says, what are some of the common mistakes that are made in conversation design?
Yeah, I think one of the common mistakes is to wanting to design for all of the exceptions that occur. So I think one of the principles that you can use is the 80-20 rule. So roughly 80% of the questions come from 20% of the causes. So try to focus on most use cases, and that will solve most of the requests. I think another common mistake is to think that technology comes first, or think from a business process. But I think the solution is to use user-centric design and really put the user at the center and the focus point, so that you can create natural conversations and create value for the user.
Absolutely. So it looks like that we're running out of time here. So if we didn't give it a chance to answer your questions live today, please go ahead and send your questions to emtech@keylimeinteractive.com, and we'll answer all your questions by email. Rose, if you could switch the screen to being the slide that has our email on it. Perfect. Yeah, so you can see the email right there at the bottom of the screen, and you can go ahead and answer us any questions there. And yeah, thank you so much all for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you at the 4th Key Lime Interactive Emerging Tech Masterclass series, which will be a voice tech workshop. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day.